I feel like the pandemic divided Gen Z. If the pandemic hit during these key transitional years, it feels like it divided everyone into these two groups of people. I feel like one half the people were sort of left behind and didn't age or mature, and it feels like the other half of the people got double XP tokens and matured twice as fast. What I mean by these transitional years is that I'm mainly talking about middle school, or just the first year of middle school and the first year of high school. I feel like you change a lot during this time, and if you started off middle school or high school with online school, it exaggerates it even more. Instead of being at school and being around a bunch of people your age, you're just sitting in a Zoom call on mute, listening to the teacher. Now, sometimes we were in these little rooms for like group projects, but in reality, it didn't really feel anything like school. It felt more like a meeting. This also means people weren't having regular social interactions that usually shape who they are. For example, bullying. It will make people want to change and be more widely accepted. I'm not saying that bullying is a good thing, but like, come on, it definitely shapes a lot about who someone is. The main thing is just that online school didn't change people in the typical way that they would have during these years. People were looking towards the internet or whoever they were usually around during the day. This left a lot of people either stuck in their ways, which they were doing during the previous stage of school, or they moved on even further than they were supposed to. Around the time, I was noticing how my friends were all kind of immature. For example, if there was a range of maturity at our age, my friends were probably on the lower side, and I was on the higher side. It took me a while to realize that it wasn't just my little friend group, though. During high school, I started to realize that they were still like this. But I also noticed when I was interacting with other people that it's a very wide range. For example, my friends would be laughing about like some fart jokes or something, or memes from the prior year, and then someone would be telling me during math class how he's starting door-to-door sales with 20-cent snow globes. Now, it's pretty easy to tell that this maturity scale doesn't really align with like a smartness scale or like a intelligence scale, but it's kind of easy to tell where someone is on this maturity scale if they're not the smartest individual. Looking back on it, I think it definitely divided my friend group throughout high school, while there were a lot of other things that went on when it comes to how that friend group changed. I felt like I had to act completely different around these people just for them to still like me. I wouldn't find most of the things they would talk about or share to be funny, but to them it was like the funniest thing they've ever seen. Most of the time it was something equivalent to like a fart joke, where it no longer is just something that's always funny, but at some point there's a time and place for it. And if it's not the right time, it just comes off as kind of weird. And I felt like this with a lot of the things that they found funny. Like, I remember when they were all over Skibbity Toilet in like sophomore year of high school. It was crazy. I probably found that funny at the very beginning, but it just dragged on for so long. More recently, I've been noticing how wide this maturity range really is. I had a video about my senior year, but it didn't really cover who I've interacted with so far during my senior year. Like, there's people with 2 jobs, a car payment, planning for their future, and just trying to enjoy their senior year as school is so dumbed down at this point. But then there's the people who don't even come across as a high schooler, let alone they're almost adults. So during the time I was a TA, I wanted to show my teacher how much I appreciated him, as I've known him since like the start of high school, and how I swear it connects with what I was saying. But then I asked him what his favorite candy was. Then he started talking about how, if you're talking about high-end candy, then I would prefer Scotchmellows from C's Candy. But if you're talking about low-end candy, then I'd like some Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Outside of how that was kind of a funny interaction for me, he was giving me these like levels of like candy, and it was just kind of funny. I've never heard someone describe different tiers of candy for someone to get them. Anyways, once I walked away, there was this kid, and he was doing the bottle flip challenge on the hard floor of the classroom. The teacher also noticed this and had told the kid, if you want to be in high school, you may leave the classroom because this is a college-level class. Mind you, this is during passing period, so there was like 3 people in the room outside of me, the teacher, and this other student. Also, for some reason, the kid wanted to land it on the cap, so, you know, like hardwood floor and a cap of a water bottle, it's kind of loud. But like, I just found that to be so like immature. Like, do you not have anything else you could be doing right now? I don't want to talk too much about other people, but there was this one other kid who I really want to talk about. He would bring his Nintendo Switch every day to school and just leave it on the table. Like, we're in civics talking about the war on terror, and he is just full Switch set up on the table that's in like a deluxe carrying case. The sort of one that you could put the dock, the controller, and all these cables into. Literally all he needed was a TV, and he probably would have been gaming all class. This kid also goes through phones like they're just regular consumable items. Like, I overheard him telling one of his friends how he has a cheap $100 Android phone, and he said it was because he lost 3 phones in the past year, and he's lost like 7 phones total. I feel like it sort of shows irresponsibility, which sort of correlates with how mature someone is. I'm gonna stop going on about other people, but I feel like these people were some of the people who would have been affected by something like this. There's probably a lot of other reasons why I feel like Gen Z has this division between who's mature and who isn't, but I could be completely wrong about this. I feel like the pandemic definitely did affect how or when people moved on to the next stage in life, or at least mentally, and it's really obvious at this point. Like, a lot of the people I've been seeing recently who I notice are pretty immature tend to be seniors as well. It's like, if they were a freshman, it'd be fine, because it's like, they just came from middle school and they're like 4 years younger. But like, these kids are almost 18, or they are 18. I don't know, it's kind of a little pet peeve I have, I guess. I know there's also a lot of other things that the pandemic probably did that sort of divides Gen Z, but I was honestly just thinking about maturity and like how I'll notice people are super immature sometimes, or how they're acting like they're 30 sometimes. Anyways, I'm gonna stop yapping now. Goodbye.